Let's see. Hey, hello, my lovey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I, of course, am promoting joy, Melissa Trumble, your joy visionary. And I am with the person who dubbed me so, Jennifer Urezzio. Thank you for joining, Jen.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Yay!
So, just to give you a heads up, my beautiful listener and viewer, Jen does this awesome thing. It's soul language. And it's not so like I'm a recovering Catholic. I've got issues with organized religion and spirituality. I believe in connection for, all things on earth. Heck yeah. And yet, if there's a dogma, a doctrine, a way to vilify groups of people, I'm out. So, connecting with Jen and finding about how her soul language situation was, first of all, it's like all the gorgeous, juicy, like human design and Myers Briggs, and, like all of these things that help enhance your understanding of yourself, which, spoiler alert, is a way of falling in love with yourself.
Beautiful.
The
Yeah,
feeling of falling in love is gorgeous. So, why not have it for yourself? So,
I love
Jen,
that.
tell us, or would you like me to ask you questions?
Ask me questions. I think that's more fun. Conversations are more fun than me going blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So we talked at one of your amazing events about having a soul language for your business as well as one for you personally. And I'm wondering, so first of all, I would love for you to explain soul language. And secondly, like, could a family have one? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. So, soul language is putting human words to something that is very complex and very profound, the soul. And we're doing it that so people can really create a more conscious connection, so they can feel really loved, really supported by their soul. So it can
Yeah.
create joy by connecting versus, oh my God, what am I doing in my life? And I feel really untethered. So we identify the three core energies: your mission, how you feel that mission, and then your soulful personality. 9 out of 10 times, the personal soul and the business soul don't share energies in common
Hmm.
because you're right because you call on a business to do something bigger first for yourself and then for others, and that usually takes different energy. To go circle back to your question, yes, we can identify the sacred partnership or the
Mm.
energy that is created by a family, and that actually helps a family understand what their mission is, how they'll be known here, what's their drive. And it also allows them to put consciousness into that family versus
Mm.
all of the family dynamics that we're usually kind of operating on, which is a lot of pain and struggle and resentment.
Yes, 100%. And that's even in the, unicorn families where the parents have emotional awareness
Yeah,
and, they self regulate and all the things. Well, there's still going to be times when something happens, something blows up, harsh words are exchanged, or, even if a furrowed brow can mean
right.
the end of the world to a kid. And, as I'm always saying, y'all, we put together our subconscious before we're flippity flargon in puberty. What?
I
Like,
know.
we don't have the understanding and the nuanced understanding to put things together. All we know is like, oh, I really made XYZ, whoever caregiver, mad, angry, and I'm going to die because I'm going to get kicked out of the house.
Yeah. And
And
then we
that's
overlay all of that with our relationship with whatever we call our higher power, right? And
right.
so often people are treating that connection with that God goo as any holdover from their parental kind of angst or goodness, right? And
Hmm.
so we don't really have a until we start to understand and make choices, we're not really operating on a conscious intention with that God goo. We're operating it on usually from pain and programming.
Right, right. And so if we can accept, or in my personal case, accepting that there is divinity, all right, and that we are connected to it, and we are connected to each other and to the health of the planet, your home, your surroundings, as well as recognizing that I had the power to choose those who I would be with, that was enormous. And all that did was sort of lower my shoulders in the tension way,
Yeah,
so that I could observe myself interacting with the divine, understanding my higher self. I'm not trying to become my higher self. The higher self exists to help me.
exactly. Yeah. I think so often people are kind of in this, they're looking for that profound love externally,
Mm,
and they're trying to fill that hole from the lack within. We have to learn to kind of fill ourselves up and feel really
yes.
loved and supported, and then our external world will reflect that.
And it's so frustrating if you're trying to find a partner or, a job that matches up with, your personality and skills, or, trying to get something to work in your life, to be told, well, once you are
Oh, yeah.
sorted out and you love yourself, it's all going to come. And I'm like, puff, puff, give. Like, what are you even talking about? And dang, if that isn't true.
And I've rolled my eyes at that statement as well, right? Like
Uh-huh.
I would go to the, 30 years ago, these intuitives, as a master intuitive, I'm laughing at myself, but as an intuitive, then be like, you have to find the love within. And I'm like, that is not the answer I want. And great. I just spent, $200 for you to tell me something that's not going to help me. And when we're asking those, those three big questions, like, why am I here? Where's the love of my life? And what can I do about my health? All in master intuitives are going to do is help you ask better questions so you can
Right.
get the answers internally. And so often we're looking for those, answers externally, and it's never going, even if I tell you the answer, if
Right.
you don't take action on that, it's going to feel hollow, right? So often, and I've done this myself, like, just tell me. And when I tell people, they're like, "Okay, great." But you have to feel that within. You have to have that own recipe inside of you. And that is about talking to your soul to really understand the vibration within so you
Mm.
can actually create the external life that your desires are.
And what do you think about so I like to use acting analogies, like just behave as the character if you're not feeling it, like develop the persona of who you can be and who you want to be. And on the days when you're just like, no bra and PJs sound pretty good, then what would that future badass self be doing? And it could be, recognizing that I need a rest, or it could also mean, all right, maybe I'm not at highest energy, but I can get some admin stuff done, or whatever. This is what I can get done at work. This is what I can do at home, and just sort of becoming that from the outside in, sort of, instead of inspirationally.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Right? Because so often when people are like, I'm just gonna, act like I'm in the end zone when, I'm in the bleachers, um, that creates a lot of, or kind of activates a lot of not enough, right?
Yeah.
So I always go, okay, if you knew you were enough, if you knew you were the badass, what would you do in this moment?
Ooh.
And that makes a difference. People go, oh, okay, I would do that. And I'm like, okay, go do that. And
Right.
what happens is that creates an internal lift and an external lift at the same time versus let's just kind of fake it until we make it. There's kind
Right.
of no faking it. Um, and then you also have to investigate what are the beliefs that are preventing you from evolving and experiencing from every fiber of your body that you're the badass versus what has been happening is every fiber is telling you no, that you're not.
Right.
And on those days where you don't feel like getting out of bed, like I think so often a lot of us who have warrior energy push through that instead of asking a big question like, what do I really need in this moment? Why my stomach just growled when I said that. What am I looking for? What do I need to create a harmony within?
Oh, you're freezing right there. Let me see. So creating harmony, as you know, my lovey, is very important because when we are in harmony with our gorgeous selves and we are absolutely able to blend ourselves with our environment, with our energy, with all the things. Oh my gosh, that's the good juice. That's where
Yeah.
the good stuff comes from. And you mentioned warrior energy, which shocker, that's me. What do you have to say about the other types of energy? Because warrior, obviously, it's like you're ready to fight. You're gonna rescue your squadron. You're, gonna take the lead. And then I've always struggled to understand the other kinds of energy.
Meaning meaning what other kinds of energy are you talking about?
Well, if someone's not a warrior and they're an observer, so could you just tell the overarching types of energy? And the reason I'm bringing it up is so that we can relate it back to falling in love with
Yeah.
ourselves.
So, there are warrior energies, there are energies that are goddess energy. They tend to be really sacred, feminine in nature. There are energies that are pioneer or highly intuitive energies that are always going to be out in front. And then there are energies that are very still in nature. So, observer tends to be a very still in nature, right? Still. And those energies tend to have a hard time, like, kind of creating action,
Mm,
and then they will berate themselves because they're not that. So often find myself saying, listen, no soul language is better than any other soul language, which is the truth.
right.
But so often we're not really accepting profoundly why we chose the energy we chose, why we chose the family we chose, why we
Mhm.
chose the actually go left then go right. And we spend all of this time in conflict and in judgment of ourselves. And that creates a real lack. I think the key to falling in love with yourself on a continual basis is to really understand that you deserve to be loved no matter what you're doing, what you're saying, who you're being. And that takes a profound sense of deep acceptance for yourself. And that's an
Yes.
ongoing process for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And I know that for myself and for my clients, it is a difficult spot to get to. It's not like, oh, I got here. Yay, I'm done. It's something that you work with continually. And if you can create a way to be your best friend and to see yourself as you would a friend, holy moly, I get so much more charming. I'm funnier. I'm not like a goofball. All of the things. And it's because I'm giving compassion to myself.
Yeah. You're actually giving yourself also freedom to be who you are, freedom to know that you're safe to be vulnerable, freedom to uh, be you no matter what the external world is thinking. And that's huge. That creates a lot of freedom and a lot of joy. And it allows you to really create really good boundaries with others. So often we're choosing those kind of relationships that aren't really uplifting, right? But when you're
Right.
in, right, when you're not in love with yourself, when you are in love with yourself, you do a better job at going, yeah, this person really fuels me, really allows me to experience my wholeness and completeness versus someone who reminds you of your eighth grade teacher that tortured you.
Exactly, right? Or that remind someone can remind you of a parent or a caregiver in a way that is nurturing and positive, and they can also remind you of that same person in a way that makes your
Yeah.
hackles rise and you get into a defensive crouch. And in order to be open to how fabulous you are, my lovey, I'm giving a shout out to you, then the good news is it's all available,
Yeah.
always available. And anything that you see, like, oh, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough of this, I don't have enough, have enough, have enough. What if you did?
Right. The soul is always going to tell you that you are, right? I think so often people are afraid to hear that soul or intuition, which is your soul speaking to you, because they're afraid to be told what their mind thinks is, which is you suck. Your soul's never going to say that. And
Right.
it's also going to bring you back to remembering that deep connection so you can take action from there. And, it's a relationship. And if you don't kind of heal the broken heart that you have over interaction or how people viewed you, it's really harder to have that relationship or be in love with yourself. And so I always suggest people like start with deep forgiveness, start with deep acceptance, and really start because that will allow your love meter to rise versus
Mhm.
trying to make yourself love yourself. Like start with forgiveness, start with acceptance, and move forward from there.
I love it. And I also think it's just like having a relationship. If you're, let's say you start a new job or, whatever, there's a new situation, a new client, a new whatever, you are looking for ways to make it work. What if we look for ways to make it work with ourselves and our natural tendencies and don't see them in a, like you're saying, in a
Right.
judgmental way, and just come from a place of enoughness, because it distills down to you don't feel like you're worthy. Either you're
Yeah.
not worthy of love, you're just not worthy to be on the planet. And I'm gonna call bullshittery on that, because if you're here, you're worthy.
Yeah. And what if you just assumed that you were going to like yourself? Right? Or you would find an audience wherever you go that you would
Hmm.
naturally find people who really love you,
Yeah.
right? That can shade your world in a whole new way. And I think so often we're all looking for the kind of exits because we don't feel safe. So
Right.
I always suggest to start falling in love with yourself that you kind of activate safety continuously.
Oh, and that's a tough one, especially for people who have come up in challenging backgrounds where there
Yeah,
often was not physical safety,
right.
and so to rely on, because I was calling BS on that, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's sink into being vulnerable and safe, but hold my beer.
Yeah.
That's just not where I live. And if we can open ourselves up to the possibility and to the fact that we are here, and guess what? If we're not going to be safe, well, we're either going to die or we're going to live.
Well,
What can
yeah,
we learn from that?
and I think so often we are operating, especially people with trauma, from a pattern of I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. So how could you enjoy yourself or love yourself when you're always looking for the exits and to understand your safety? And for
Hmm.
those, let's start with a willingness, right? Really kind of take back that power, that agency over from the 7-year-olds with great love who's
Right.
been controlling the show.
Yeah. And that's when I talk about rewriting your subconscious. That's exactly it. That's your reaction, but you choose your response.
Right.
And you can say, like, "Oh, I see you, subconscious, name it." Mine is Cruella. She's awful, and I
Well, but
see
she's
it.
only really trying to keep you in the illusion of
Safe.
safety, right? So
Exactly.
we can't demonize her too much because she's kind of on board with us. She wants
Right.
our safety. She wants to make sure that we're okay. uh, you know, Anytime we make any conflict with ourselves, we're creating war. And so I always say, let's practice love submission. Let's love yourself until you go, okay, all right, I got no choice. And there's a great feeling of that because that has so much power, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, Cruella was kind of cool. Like she had that cool hair and she's got like, I mean, of course, the Dalmatian making coats, not a cool thing, but there was a
Right.
lot of cool things about her.
Exactly. She knew who she was, she knew
Right,
what she wanted, and she went for it.
right. And in the end, she really wasn't going to get, she really didn't have the true ability to harm anyone,
Right.
right?
Right. And it's, if you're thinking to yourself that that's all fine and well for these, two people to talk like this, and that's not my experience, I would offer that you can crack open a bit of opening a window, a door, and let some light in and see, like, okay, well, what if you
Right.
celebrated who you are, you forgave yourself, and you started from there? What does that feel like?
I would also say, why are you addicted to the pain? Like, what are you getting out of that pain? What is that juice? Normally it's because you've used it to move past it and as a source of strength. But you're
Mhm.
much more powerful than that. So how do you want to start to use a new source of power? Because
Right.
that's where the fun is, right? That's where all the gooiness comes in and you create something really sustainable and really enjoyable.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I like that you use the gooiness because it can mean something soft and
Mm,
warm. It can mean something divine. It's
right.
all the good stuff because we are surrounded by good stuff. And we're also surrounded by all the crap, but um choose the good.
Yeah. I mean, resistance is futile, right? I always say that. Like,
You are
you
the
know,
Borg of goodness.
I'm the Borg of goodness, right? So let's turn towards the goodness. And listen, I've had my like, down in the dumps, crying. Like we all have.
Yeah.
We've all had our traumas. And I think nobody has a monopoly on pain. So
Right.
why don't we start to let go or have those opportunities to start to see the goodness in ourselves?
Right.
And that will create more goodness externally.
And it doesn't mean other people are right. It
No,
doesn't mean injustices were not
no,
perpetrated. What it does mean is that you're freeing yourself from the pain.
right. Which is
And
only draining you.
exactly.
And you
And that's
can't
the
take
power.
action on that pain, right? You can't.
Right.
It's not fuelable in the end. So if you really want to make a difference, then you have to be in a conscious of neutrality because that's where doors open. So just watch what you have an attachment to and why.
It's yes, get curious. I love it. Thank you so much,
You're
Jennifer
welcome so much.
Urezzio. You're the best.
Thank
And I
you.
look forward to talking with you again. And ciao, lovey. You enjoy it. All right.